Sitting next to me now is Soren Trampedach. Soren is a major thinker in the optimisation of workplace design, culture, systems and management, applying an anti-disciplinary, and I love that word, approach, disrupting traditional working environments and improving business outcomes. So welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. That's great. Soren, you grew up in Denmark, but you've lived and worked all over the world. Your first job was a hotel porter and you did not attend university.
No.
Brownie point for that. So although you have spent over a decade as a Director of Strategy and Sales for Haworth Incorporated, which was one of the world's largest furniture manufacturers, can you tell us a little bit about your early dreams? And did you always know that you would go on to work for yourself and become an entrepreneur?
I think so. You know, I left Denmark when I was 18, a long time ago.
Still kept a little accent.
Yes, very heavy. 1990, actually. I was like everybody in Denmark. You know, you go to London for a couple of months or a year, and that's what I did. And I just didn't go back. Initially, I got the job as a porter. But I think even when I was in Haworth, which was 11, 12 years, big firm, global, I kind of knew that I wanted to do my own. And during the first 10 years before I joined Haworth, I also had my own a lot of the time of those 10 years. Smaller ventures, lots of different things, trying things out. Some worked, some didn't. So, yeah, I always knew it was just a question of time.
And would you agree that working for a large organisation in perhaps a traditional, secure role also can provide such a fantastic learning platform in terms of structures and
Absolutely.
sets?
Yeah, I mean, it was a privately owned company, it still is. I joined and I thought I was going to be with them for a couple of years. And just to learn a few things, but I ended up 11 years. I had 5, 6 roles within the company and traveled the world with them. And
they must have liked you.
And I liked them.
One thing rolled into another.
They allowed me to be myself, you know, and also entrepreneurial within the corporate structure. So as long as I was delivering the numbers, essentially, they allowed me incredible freedom. And I know that what I learned there, obviously, over the last 10, 12 years in my own ventures has definitely been a great foundation.
I wonder if that's something that you now take into your own business when you have staff and staff that may, you know, have a little bit of star power. Your ability to allow them a little bit of free rein. Do you think the way you were treated and supported to be innovative in a corporate structure, are you applying that to your own team?
Definitely. I'm applying things that I learned, but also things that I didn't like, for sure. So I'm very conscious. So the people side, it's such a cliche, but still, it's really, I say the biggest sin is no action from team members. So I push decisions down. I'm not very involved in the day-to-day because I don't want to be. If the team is not strong enough on the day-to-day and confident enough in making decisions at all levels in real time, there's an issue. There's a culture issue. So the culture for me is about empowering every individual from our frontline team members through to the leadership team on making decisions. And I don't mind getting asked, of course, but I push things back. Just continually push them back. Yeah,
that's great, providing autonomy and instilling confidence in your team as well. Saying, I believe you can do this. I trust you, you know.
Yeah, and I think in the world that we're in now, you've got to empower. Otherwise there's no
joy.
No joy as well for team members.
Yes. In your first business, you grew your furniture business to 7 offices and 100 staff, all within 18 months. That's really fast. How did that happen? How did you get that to grow so fast?
I came on the back. It was a joint venture. Where I learned a lot. It was with the biggest European furniture manufacturer, and they asked me if I wanted to work for them. I said no. We came up with this arrangement where I had 49.9% of Asia Pacific as a region. And the holding company in Austria, which was listed, had the 50.1% because they were listed and needed that 0.1 from an accounting perspective. And we set up. I had basically grown Asia Pacific from Hayworth, the previous company I was with. So I'd hired people in Seoul, I hired people in Japan, so I knew all the people, and I knew the region really well, so that's why it went really fast. I had great products, great team, and that's the reason why that went fast.
Yep.
And also stopped pretty fast as well.
Well, I was going to say, what goes up comes down. So
yeah,
tell
well,
us a bit about that.
sometimes.
Yeah.
My joint venture partner was this beautiful old company, and I was very close to the patriarch of that company, 5th generation. He was in his early 70s. What I didn't know was that the company in Austria was in financial difficulties. And overnight, my new JV partner became the biggest bank of Austria instead of this lovely gentleman, which I knew really well. So all of a sudden, I had a bank as my JV partner, and they wanted something different, and they wanted to consolidate and sell off the business, basically. So it was
the 49%.
It didn't get me very far, yes, and I learned that, and it was a tough lesson. I think for 12 months I tried to make it work. I tried to buy the global company. I tried to buy the different entities in the region.
Yep.
And I thought rationally everything made sense, but it was just, in the end, it wasn't to be.
That was actually going to be one of my questions about facing difficult times.
Yeah.
And that certainly sounds like one. There would have been a lot of disappointment with that. What are the learnings that you have taken from that, or other examples of a difficult time, and how have you used them to make you stronger or more determined?
I think, life is never just up or down. It goes in waves, right? And I think when you accept that, and that was a big drop for me. I came from sort of top, and it was a big commercial deal where they were going to buy me out after 10 years, and it was quite a significant thing. When the whole thing collapsed, it was a blessing in disguise. Yep. Because I had to pull the plug. I'd hired all the people, so there was a lot of pain around that, right? Because it's your name. But I had this concept I had in the drawer since 2005, which I never had time to do, and that's where I pulled that out. Pretty much almost in the first month after that collapse, and kind of thought I'm not going into that industry again. I'm not going to pull this out, and I'm going to try and bring this to life.
That's so similar to what Danielle was saying as well. She was sort of on this corporate wheel that she didn't mean to leave, but then it turned into a blessing because suddenly her eyes were that little. And
what I learned was that I knocked on a few doors. This was my new venture work club at the time, and asked a few questions if people were interested in maybe co-invest, just to carry some of the burden initially. But people just didn't understand what it was conceptually, and I quickly also came to the conclusion, no, I'm going to do it on my own. I don't want people to influence me or never to be in control again. And that was the big learning. I always want to be in control of whatever I do. Never to be in that position again.
I want to talk more about Work Club, but just before we do, just want to touch on, I think what you said really speaks to the subject of resilience, the buzzword of 2022, we think, where you said, life, it's never straight, it's up and down, it's about acceptance. And often when you accept that, there's such a calming feeling about that. When things are going wrong, it's not necessarily wrong. Perhaps this is just the way it goes. And do you think that kind of attitude supports resilience?
I think so, for sure. And there's certain elements you can control.
Yeah.
And I think a lot about that. What can I control, and what can I influence, and not have any emotions really about things that I can't control. Yeah. Because it's a waste of emotions, really. So I'm very pragmatic. Also around decisions. I try and limit my decisions every day. I try and because I think there's a decision fatigue. There's all kinds around that where always wear a black T-shirt. You know, it's easier. I pull it out in the morning. I don't need to think. And I think the more I can help myself and just simplifying, you know, helps.
Yeah. Start a new uniform. We might all be wearing black. That's it. Not wearing anything but black. Too many decisions.
There's no rules. You can wear whatever you want.
You wear whatever you like. Fill your head up with decisions if you want to. Okay, vision for Work Club. So you drew up the idea, you plotted the vision, and now Work Club has prime locations across the East Coast, Barangaroo, Barrack Place, really nice locations. How important do you feel visioning plays in making ideas come to life?
I think, you need a vision. You need to understand where does this fit in conceptually, and there needs to be planning around the commercial side, of course. You know, you need to assess risks around planning, but you can also overplan. Mm-hmm. And I think it's almost I think it's an excuse almost for inactivity. If you plan too much, you become paralyzed. You just overanalyze. And again, it's something that I work closely with the team where you can never control everything. You can never de-risk anything. And with every venture, with every decision, there's an element of risk. You try and minimize it, but if you spend too much time on minimizing it, you're never going to get anywhere. You never move forward.
Paralysis analysis.
Yes. So again, it's about making decisions fast in real time and making sure most of them are correct.
Yep.
You know, and they're measured around a risk perspective. But I think speed, in particular the way the world is changing so fast, you don't have the time to sit and overanalyze. And I know there's a lot around data. Yes, I question the whole analyzing of data. Of course, you've got to do it to some extent, but I don't.
Don't expect it to change within a month or 2 weeks. Don't hang on to that data for too long.
I think conceptually, if the idea is strong and you're convinced about it conceptually, and you've done your numbers, you assessed your risk,
then just jump in.
Oh, yeah.
Go for it. So co-working spaces, I mean, they've been around for a while. They took a bit of a hit, obviously, during COVID, but they are the future. And, you know, thousands of businesses now are relinquishing their, you know, classic office space and floor plates and so forth. So, you know, as far as communities are concerned and the like, how does Work Club how do you achieve standout and how do you achieve better connected within this co-working space market?
So I'm not so interested in co-working. I've never said we're never co-working. What I'm interested in is becoming the smarts of buildings or precincts from a people perspective. Yeah. There's been a lot of focus on buildings from an operational perspective, the smarts of buildings tech-wise, on how to optimize efficiencies, lower costs. That's all operational. It's no focus on the individual within buildings, whether that's office buildings, whatever hardware it is.
Yeah.
Our focus is we want to connect everybody within buildings and precincts better as human beings. So we apply the principles of how we do that through physical spaces, of which some of it is co-working, we call it pro-working. Some of it is events and conferences, some of it is services. Some of it is F&B, so retail, restaurant. We're opening a restaurant on Monday. Not sure it's the right time, but cafes and bars. We use all of these physical spaces to connect with people and connect people from coming into these places. And then we overlay that with a set of programming. We call it experiences, which are all programming that is designed to connect people in a way where they share an experience where, for example, we do roundtables. There's 8 people, 8 members or people we invite. They share an experience, an hour and a half, they go off and they're more connected. They now know each other by names. They have shared something vulnerable with each other, and they're actually connected, truly connected, which means that regardless of whether you're extrovert, introvert, you're processing worker, whoever you are, you feel more connected to these 8 people that you just share that experience with. So what I want to do is create places, buildings where people feel a sense of belonging, they want to be there, not because they have to be
So
there.
it's using the built form to enable communities.
Yes, and in a true way, not
Yes.
just saying you're doing
Yes.
it, but in a way where people vote because they're there.
Yes.
And particularly in this future where most of us don't have to be at the office or anywhere.
Yeah.
We can be anywhere we want as long as we deliver. I think you would want to create places where people want to be. And particularly if you're companies that want to create strong cultures, you do need people coming together.
I mean, community traditionally, as a word was, football fields and, netball and that.
Yeah.
I was talking with Emmanuel from the chamber earlier, and we were talking about how important business and residents are all coming together as a community. Yeah. And I think we really saw that in COVID, where the normal street you would walk down and you would get your coffee and suddenly it was all closed.
Yeah.
And the vitality of the place and the space was, and then you suddenly realise, my barista is part of my community, or my F&B or my accountant or whatever it is. It's all these ecosystems really that go towards one. Yeah. So it's a human-centric focus that you drive basically. Yeah. And that you believe in. So coming to you now, do you ever get stressed? Because you only have to wake up in the morning and put on a black T-shirt, so that's taking quite a bit of stress out of that.
I do get stressed. I mean, we all do, but sometimes people, and I actually reflect on it and think, I don't actually feel stressed, because I'm kind of, work is not a 9 to 5 for me. It's just life, and there's no boundaries as far as I'm concerned. I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very grateful. I'm very lucky that I actually love what I do. I don't know what else I would do. It's not work. So I don't feel stressed.
That's terrific.
And it's more, there's challenges. There's every day business is problem solving, right? There's problems coming up every day.
Yep.
But that's business.
That's just part of it.
Yeah.
And I think also, very much your whole business, it really is so much about a philosophy as well, isn't it? Not just about a space.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. So I want to thank you very much for coming to join us all the way from One Beach in the Northern Rivers.
Yes.
Northern Beaches, I should say, to here, which is just wonderful. Is there any final words that you might have for budding entrepreneurs out there? I mean, we've covered a lot of ground. I think authenticity and knowing yourself is a really good starting point. And if I was to sum it up, you also said, don't overanalyze.
Yeah.
Do your numbers and get on with. And by the way, if you haven't looked at the website, I encourage everybody to do so. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
The choices and So what are some pearls of wisdom?
I don't know if it's wisdom. It's the same. There's enough people out there that's going to tell you what you can't do, and I think that's just that's always going to be the case. Again, if you have a strong idea, believe in yourself. Don't second guess too much. Obviously, there are practical things around the financial side that needs to be assessed, but it's resilience, because there's enough people there to knock you in the head and say what you're doing is crazy. And for me, that was for the first many years. So believe in yourself. Don't listen to what other people say or think. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters is what you want and what you believe in. And I think if you follow that and follow that passion, whatever business it is, then you may succeed. You may also not succeed, and that's also okay. You just got to get back up again and try again.
Would you mind if we had one more question?
Sure.
This comes from Michael,
and
I love this. Work Club has a certain vibe and personality.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah.
How do you select your employees?
That's a good question. We have quite a process where there's a lot of different people interviewing. So we have people from all levels interviewing every new person coming in, and it's always a focus on culture. Of course, if it's a finance person, you need to make sure that they've got the capabilities, but I have no interest in what they've done prior to stepping through the doors, all I ask for is they take pride in what they do. They show up every day, regardless of what position they're in, and they care. And that's the DNA of what we are and what we expect. And if they don't, the organism, which is our team itself, police that and spit them out. So I don't have to do anything because it's kind of just, and the same with our members.
To fit in is kind of organic.
Yeah, and it's so we say you've got to bring all of yourself. You leave nothing at the door. Bring all of your quirkiness. We want all of it. We want you to be vocal. That's basically how we do it. Most of the time it works well.
Well, you are a very innovative boss indeed, and a very innovative entrepreneur. Congratulations on Work Club, and thank you so much, Soren.
Thank you for having me.
Sharing your wisdom today. Very special. Thanks.
Thank you.